4 times. She was denied finishing as a strong runner-up, but she is back for the 8th race in a row, making another run at the history books. She returns this year as a favorite for the title with the fastest personal best in the field. From Ethiopia, we welcome Marukata Degafa. Next up, from the U.S., Kira D'Amato. Kira, welcome. What a great story you have authored. She took a 7-year break from the sport, but is now among the top marathoners in the U.S. 4-time All-America at American University. She briefly ran post-collegiately until ankle surgery, quote-unquote, ended her running career back in 2008. But D'Amato was determined to return. She won her first U.S. title when she broke the tape at the USA Track and Field Half Marathon Championships, a personal best 1:07:55. D'Amato says boldly her goal in Houston is definitely to win. She believes she is fitter than she was last year when she ran 2:22. She would like to not only win, but run a personal best. From the U.S., we welcome Kira D'Amato. Welcome. Next up, we welcome Ascali Marache. Welcome, Ascali. Our defending champion, Marache, made her marathon debut in 2016 in China. In the 2020 Chevron Houston Marathon, she separated from the lead pack before the 10K mark. She was on a course record pace for much of the race before breaking the tape in 2:23:29. That time made her the 4th fastest woman in race history. We welcome our defending champion from Ethiopia, Ascali Marache. Welcome. One more time, from the U.S., we welcome Maggie Montoya to the stage. Maggie, welcome. Montoya ran her half marathon personal best, 1:10:06, right here in Houston in 2020. That time good enough to get her named to Team USA for the World Athletics Half Marathon Championships. She most recently finished a strong 8th in the USA Track and Field Half Marathon Championships held last December. Welcome, Maggie Montoya. I think the crew is ready with microphones if we have questions from our media. I will go ahead and start. Maggie, you're at the end there. The weather has been a huge topic here in Houston. It is highly unusual, perhaps, that we will be in the mid-30s to begin the race. How do you deal with that, and how will that affect the race?
I'm pretty comfortable in most temperatures, as long as it's not like in the 20s or above 80 degrees. I went to school in Texas and went to school, grew up in Arkansas, so I'm pretty used to hot and humid temperatures. So really, any temperature with not too much wind is pretty ideal.
We expect a great race. More questions? Hand raised.
As far as the pandemic goes, how did it affect all you guys? As far as training?
Tell you what. Kira, do you want to answer that?
Yeah, of course, that sounds good. For me, during the pandemic, it affected training a little bit just because we had to get creative. Our kids were then out of school, so I had to work extra hard to figure out with my husband's schedule how we were going to fit everything in. But luckily, running is a solo, safe sport that you can do alone and through the parks and the trails. So when everything shut down for me, I didn't have to. So running was actually kind of like my strong point and my control, something I can control, and everything was going crazy. So I really was drawn to running even more during COVID because it kind of gave me strength and hope that we could get through it.
I'll continue with our defending champion, Ascali Marache. Question for you. How is it different returning here as the defending champion, and why do you think this course suits you so well?
I'm adequately prepared for this marathon. For the last 3 months and a half, I've been preparing myself, and I'm very determined to set my personal best and to set a new record.
Any more questions?
For Barute, what is it about Houston that makes you want to keep coming back? And if you win on Sunday, what would that mean to you to be the first athlete to win 4 times?
ሂውስተን ደጋግሜ እንደመጣ የሚያደርገኝ በቃ ኮርሱንም በጣም ወደዋለሁ። ሬስ ወርቃን ነገሮቹም አሪፍ ነገር ስላላቸው ፈጣን ሰዓቴን ብዙ ጊዜ ደጋግሜ እዚህ ከ2 ከ3 ስለሆንኩኝ ፈጣን ስለምወጣበት ደስ ይለኛል።
I like Houston because I like the trail, and also I like the organizers. I like the way it's set up. So I win most of the time with good records, and I intend to win always good record again.
I like the organizers. What a wonderful response. Any more questions?
And for Kira, from Aaron Strout at Women's Running, you said about a month ago that you'd factor in your final workouts plus the weather forecast before you came up with your race strategy. How are you feeling now about going for a win and or a PR?
Yeah, the last few months buildup has been almost ideal for me. So I feel like I'm in my best shape ever, which is a real exciting. It gives me a lot of confidence towing the line on Sunday. I definitely think I'm in shape to PR, which is 2:22, and the course record is definitely on my mind as well. So it's been, sometimes when training doesn't go well, it kind of gives you it takes off a little bit of the pressure, right? Because you're like, yeah, it wasn't ideal, let's just go do my best. But training has been pretty much perfect, so I'm really excited to see what I can do on Sunday, especially among this amazing field. I think it's going to be a really fantastic race.
For Maggie, what made you choose Houston for your marathon debut?
I came here 2 years ago to do the half marathon, and almost our whole team was down here, and everybody had a phenomenal race. It was a ton of fun. I have a lot of positive emotions surrounding this event. And when plans for a fall marathon fell through, I knew immediately I wanted to do Houston, and I'm very excited to be here with my teammates for our first marathons.
And for Escale, in December of 2020, you won a marathon in Taiwan. Before that event, you had to quarantine in a hotel room with a treadmill for 2 weeks. Can you tell us what that was like?
It was a difficult situation. I was in a hotel room for nearly 2 weeks, and I could not even receive a massage or any help. But through that, all God helped me, and I was very happy for winning the marathon. So I was very happy about that. Despite the odds, I was able to win.
And for Maggie, 2021 has been a challenging year for everyone, but it's fair to say you've seen more challenges than most. Have you changed as either a person or a runner from what you've faced?
So 2021 definitely was not ideal. Going through the trauma of earlier the year and then facing my first injury, the build-up of my first trials qualifier, I think it's made me just appreciate all the new opportunities I can have, and being here, I'm just excited to run.
Maggie, could you elaborate a little bit on the injury, and also, obviously you and Frank are teammates, and maybe talk a little bit about the friendship there and the fact you're both debuting together here in the marathon?
2 weeks before the U.S. Olympic trials for track and field, I was in New York. I'd had some hip pain 2 days before, but nothing I couldn't run through. And then I went for my shakeout in Central Park and could not take a step. And I knew instantly something was wrong. And facing that was real tough, but I had an incredible team and friends and family that supported me through that. And then being teammates with Frank is it's a lot of fun. We actually lived in Mexico City at the same time when we were kids. We just didn't know that, obviously. So it's kind of cool. We're coming full circle and now we're teammates. It's a great team and he's a joy to have.
And one more question for Kira. Your career of the past few years reads almost like a fairy tale, although one that undoubtedly involved a lot of hard work. Do you ever sit back sometimes and marvel at what's happened?
Totally. I tell people it's funny because like half of my brain can't wrap my head around everything that's happened. It just, like you said, it feels kind of like a fairy tale. Like a couple years ago, I was begging the race director to let me in and start with the elite women, and now I'm up here today. That just feels so wild, and it's hard to wrap my head around. But then the other 50% of my brain is this really confident, like fierce competitor that I get there and I just think, what's next? What's next? What's next? And I've been training, my butt off the last few years. I have a really great coach, and I don't know, I'm just kind of a fierce competitor. So it's so funny just to kind of step back and look at my journey and just can't believe it. But then the other part, I've been there, putting in the miles, blood, sweat, and tears, and I know how I got here. So it's just, I don't know, it's been a wild ride. I'm happy to be here. I can't wait to race on Sunday, and hoping for a fairy tale ending.
I think that'll wrap it up for us. Tremendous answers, and we welcome you. All of you have such great stories. Have a great race this weekend. Our elite field from the women's marathon. Thank you so much.